When large jobs require moving massive amounts of snow, get the work done quickly and efficiently with the Western Pile Driver and all-new Pile Driver XL pusher plows, both featuring Trace Edge technology. These pushers scrape down to the pavement with an advanced cutting-edge system that has independent 2-foot sections that move vertically, oscillate, and trip. Get more jobs done faster with the Western Pile Driver lineup of pusher plows.
Mike Bott from Frost Solutions, one of the owners of the company. What we do is provide a mini weather station to give you a tailored forecast to those particular locations so you know where and when and what to do in those parts of town. You know there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that people can experience tremendous value having a technology like this.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey with your host, Dave Westcott. The Entrepreneurial Journey is a weekly podcast that streams live every Tuesday at 9:15 a.m. Pacific on Dave's YouTube channel and LinkedIn profile. Now here's Dave with this week's episode.
Good morning and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm your host, Dave Westcott. I have with me Eric. Good morning, Eric. How are you today?
Good morning, Dave. I'm doing great. Good to see you. Yeah.
You know what? Eric and I met through EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, a few years back, and we did a special. What do they call that when you do the forum that's not your main forum?
Yeah, adopted forum. Yeah, it's where we get paired up with other EO members from other forums for a day or for a period of time, and a couple of days at a retreat or something. Yeah, it was a good forum.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a great way to connect. And I see you posted on social media. I've seen you at different events, and you always have a lot going on. You have a lot of life going on, and great speaking. Always enjoy what you have to share, and enjoy being able to learn from you. So thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, looking forward to it.
So you took over your family business at what was it, 19?
Yeah. I was going to the University of Washington, and it was spring quarter, coming to the end of spring quarter. My dad asked if I was going to re-up for fall quarter, and this was in 1987. I said I was planning on it, and he said, "Okay, I guess we'll sell the house." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" And he goes, "Or you can come make it go to the family business." I was like, "Again, what?" And what had happened was there was a client called Alarmex that was based in Seattle that had been bought by National Guardian in a merger. National Guardian was based out of Minneapolis, and they centralized all of their purchasing. Every time they bought a company, they brought all the purchasing back to Minneapolis for buying power, which totally makes sense. I mean, I understand why it was done, but at the time, Alarmex represented a third of the company's annual revenue. And so when they talk about don't have a client with excessive, concentration, that's exactly what they're referring to.
Right.
The folks, my mom and dad, and Jimmy, nobody reacted quick enough. They didn't downsize. They didn't eliminate salaries. They didn't do anything. They went from positive owner's equity to a negative $78,000 owner's equity. And again, this was, between the fall of '86 and the, late June of '87, late spring, early summer of '87. So I didn't know anything about running a business. I didn't really know a lot about leadership, but I did understand math pretty well. And I knew negative $78,000 owner's equity was not good.
No, that is not good. Was the company the same FCP Insight, Absco Solutions? Was it the same, or was it
two different companies? Yeah, I've got a couple of different companies now. I've actually got 3 companies, and then I do some side work, so consulting and some other things. But so Absco Solutions is a life safety and security integration company. Does electronic video surveillance, access control, fire, life safety, mass notification, things of that nature. We do it for really, multi-site and large campus environments. So a lot of universities, a lot of hospitals. Seattle U was the very first client I picked up at 19, and SPU was the next client I picked up at the age of 20. and really kind of owe both Seattle U and Seattle Pacific University for Absco's existence. Without them as clients, we wouldn't have made it. I was the salesperson, the lead tech, the project manager, did the drafting, and the reality is there wasn't enough time to sell a ton. So I needed a client that had recurring work. And so, yeah, focusing on universities was a good idea. And that's what we did. And as a result, we do work for the Seahawks organization for Lumen Field and the VMAC. We do a lot of work for the U.S. Navy, stuff like that. And we're in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana. A lot of different clients that we enjoy working with in those campus environments. And then in the early 2000s, I was late 90s, early 2000s, I was attending the Birthing a Giants program, which was a then YEO, Young Entrepreneurs Organization. It's now EO, as you know. But back then we had to be young to still be members. And Vern Harnish, who was one of the founders of EO or YEO, was leading the Birthing a Giants program at MIT, and I was attending it, and Vern asked the question, if you could solve a major problem of your industry with $1 million, what would it be? And it was a really interesting question. And at the time, I didn't have a spare $1 million to just throw at a problem, but I could cobble together $100,000 here and $100,000 there, and we got to work on a platform, a unified business platform inside of Absco that we thought would solve our problems, which was, unified ERP, CRM, estimating, project management, all of that. And we eventually took that to the market here a few years ago. The SaaS model, Amazon Web Services hosted and integrated with QuickBooks. We're looking at doing an integration with another larger accounting platform right now. So it's full suite of with the exception of the accounting package, full suite of services for electrical contracting.
Wow, that's amazing. So in that software, are you telling me that is basically a software that you developed based on this Birthing of Giants that you were at, and that question came up, and then you said, hey, I'm going to build this platform. Then you build this platform, and it's an ERP, a CRM with an estimating tool. I mean, it's the whole package. That's what you're saying? Like, if I'm an electrical contractor, I come in here, I can write my estimates, I can do my bids, I can manage my projects, I can report to my customers, manage my subs, shoot the stuff over to QuickBooks. Bam.
Time card management, real-time job costing, bi-directional integration with QuickBooks. I mean, it's, real-time WIP reports, real-time sales funnel management of multiple offices, multiple salespeople. You can sort by a whole bunch of, I could look at an office, I could look at a salesperson individually, I can look at the company in totality. I can look, for all of it. Calendaring for scheduling by resource and by project and by, I mean, there's just a bunch of stuff there. So it's
that's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the dream of every contractor. I mean, every contractor wants to live in one space.
Yeah, I know we did. And the file management, like, you can build your own file management tree and have that populate to every single project you ever do, which is kind of cool because, it's funny. I was talking with a $1.6 billion general contractor, and like, it's little silly things, right? Like, at the end of our folders, it rolls up the documents from the folders underneath it. So you see that there are 6 documents in this file tree beneath it, right? The master tree, the very top, will show you like there's 27 documents in this project as a whole. And it was funny because as I'm talking to him, he's like, oh my gosh, I wish we had that. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, we don't have that. I go, well, what do you do? And he goes, if we're missing a document and I know it made it into the file somewhere, sometimes I have to go through every single file to track it down. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that just sounds painful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So is that something that you can roll into other industries outside of electrical, or is it primarily just for electrical?
Right now we're focused on electrical. I think it has ramifications for other industries. I think it has ramifications for all the specialty contractors because our workflows are relatively the same, permitting and, you know, equipment ordering and tracking and labor tracking and, scheduling and, wanting to keep track of what we did against the facility and the facility attaching to an end user. And you could have multiple relationships in that workflow where maybe you're working for a general contractor, or maybe you're working for a sub to the general contractor, but all of that is being done for an owner of a building in a building, right? And so being able to keep track of all of that relational information simultaneously, and also being able to keep track of the other subcontractors that are on the job, who they are, the phone numbers, their emails, all of that, that we need to coordinate with. Hey, we need to coordinate an elevator inspection. Okay, great. Well, we've got the elevator contractor and the primary contact for this project associated with the project. So yeah, highly beneficial.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, that's the dream. I mean, that's all my stuff in one spot, my estimating, my CRM, my project. I mean, all that. That is just incredible. Being in the trade services, I mean, that's what we look for every day. I can tell you that just on my own personal level, we are constantly, I would say we switch software programs every 2 to 3 years, and we're always looking for that one-stop shop. And everybody says it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's not out there. You can't combine all of those. Talk to the guys who want to charge you $1 million, and you talk to the guys who want to charge you $100,000. At the end of the day, putting all those pieces together seems to be really, really difficult. So that is an amazing niche you guys have filled.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, let me say this. There are people ask, do you do BIM drawings inside your system? No, we don't do. We could write an API for it, but we're not gonna take on AutoCAD or something of that nature.
Yeah,
it wouldn't make sense for us to do that. But yeah, having it from lead generation all the way through the full cycle of the project and ongoing service and maintenance and managing service contracts and managing warranties and all of that, I wanted it all in one place that we could go to, and we got there. We continue to enhance it. We've got a data visualization intern working with us right now that from the UW that is just doing some really cool work with us. One of the things that we're looking at is labor realization versus utilization, and putting together the graph of, okay, well, what projects are we bleeding on and what projects are we really successful on? And where, what percentage of efficiency can we really expect out of an individual in a given period of time? And it's really interesting to see some of this stuff in a visualized format where you can go, oh, wow. I've officially, inside of Absco, I've officially called this thing the Pac-Man, right? I want Pac-Man's mouth to close. The closer we can get to close, the better off we are. So, yeah, as a matter of fact,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we really, the other thing that's really cool is inside of our system, we've made it so that a layman, not a programmer, can go in and remove things or add things that are, hey, I don't want to track the market segment that I sold this to, higher education or K through 12. So we're just going to take that field out so that salespeople don't have to fill it in. Get rid of anything that's extraneous. And a lot of the software, when you use it, you've got to pay a programmer $250, $300, $500 an hour to do that for you. And we can actually do it, almost real time for a client for nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What you guys have built that's really, really impressive. How do you see AI and the use of technology impacting the electrical field, the electrical business? Do you see things, where do you see things going?
Well, I know that we are putting some AI into our system itself. I also know that AI is giving us about a 500% boost on some of our programming. And so when you take somebody like our CTO, who's a true software architect, hard to find, expensive, and always in need for everything we do. I can't he's necessary to every facet of what we do. It's giving him a 500% boost in efficiency, which is really remarkable. And I think that's only going to get better as the AI gets more intelligent on what we're doing and how we do it. But like we had some old code that we needed to update to current standards, and it would have taken weeks for one of our normal programmers to go in and do all of that, and it took less than a day for AI to go in and do all of that. So and a lot of that, I don't know that AI is necessarily perfect yet on just writing new code, but when it comes to rewriting old code, it's really good. So
okay,
yeah.
So that's really neat stuff. So you're a big EO guy. That's a big part of what you are, or who you are. You take over the family business. You're 19. You're getting things going back. You grab a couple of major clients. You're getting on your way. How has being involved in EO changed your business, changed your life? What has that done for you being a part of that organization?
Well, just to put that in perspective, the 19 and you turn things around, that took us like 8 years. So that sounds like to get to $0 owner's equity took about 8 years. And I know that sounds like it's only $78,000. I mean, I think I've got credit cards that would cover $78,000 today. But back then, I mean, interest rates were 17, 18%. When I bought out 25% of the company for, $2,500 from somebody who literally just wanted to walk away from the debt, I took out a loan from my grandfather at 10% interest, and people were like, "Oh my God, your grandfather was making money on you." And I'm like, "No, he had oil shares that he was getting a 12% return on that he took a haircut on." I mean, he made me a deal. It was a good deal. So those were hard, arduous years. Joining YEO back then and eventually being an EO it has radically transformed my life. I can't imagine what my life would be like without it. My early 20s, my mid 20s, my late 20s, I was a crappy leader. I mean, I was just a terrible leader. I led by terror as much as anything else. Just stupid. My EQ was not nearly as high as my IQ in my 20s. And I think EO did a wonderful job of helping me develop my EQ, develop my leadership standards, develop I will say this, my mentor of 25 years now, who I'm going to move next to, I'm going to be moving down to Austin here in a year. He wouldn't be in my life if it weren't for EO. We met at we met at a GLC. He was the WPO mentorship chair, was trying to find me a mentor and couldn't find anybody in Seattle who was willing to be a mentor for anybody. And I mean, at the time it was a relatively newer program, and Seattle hadn't adopted it yet for WPO. And Tor said, "Hey, look, if I can't find anybody for you in the next 90 days, I'll be your mentor." And I said, "Are you serious?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "I got to be honest, I hope you don't find anybody." And he said, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Absolutely, I am." And he said, "Okay, done." And a week and a half later, he was in my office, like really going through everything and getting us to focus on mission, vision, values. And I mean, Tor has been through thick and thin. And, when I've had moments of real challenge and crises, personally or professionally, he's been there to really shepherd me through some stuff and just been a dear friend. But beyond that, I mean, life is so much bigger because of EO, because of EO. I mean, 2 tours on the global board, and I look at the things that I've been able to do and the things that I've learned and just the constant learning. But dinner 8 feet away 5 feet away, really, it's 2 people away from me with a Supreme Court justice on the seal of the National Archives. Multiple dinners in the Benjamin Franklin dining room of the State Department, dinner on the main street of the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul. I've met prime ministers and presidents and street legal go-karts in the streets of Berlin, ridden a camel and an elephant. I mean, like, just crap that I look at some of the things that we do and I just go, like, who gets to do this stuff? And I know that I know that I would never have but for EO. So, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So for anybody out there that's lost, or they're building their business, or they're on their entrepreneurial journey, how important is something like EO in your mind? I mean, is it mission critical? Is it, hey, no matter what, put it on a credit card, get in there? Like, I mean, how important is that in your mind?
Yeah. Well, people are like, Eric, you've been in for 28 years. That's a really long time. Why are you still in EO? And it's like, A, most of my best friends are in EO. B, I continue to learn every day. Like, we just had a briefing a couple of days ago on all of the tax changes, both at the federal and state level. And that was enlightening. It was incredibly timely, from one of the better CPAs in the state. And so EO has saved me, or made me, millions of dollars, year in and year out. During the downturn, during the pandemic, when everybody's trying to figure out which way is up, EO pulled together and we're getting weekly briefings on, this is the latest on the PPP, this is the latest on the ERC, this is the latest on, hey, I had an EO friend help me out with getting, personal protection gear for mask KN95s when you couldn't find a KN95 in the state. I mean, and
wow.
We were essential services. We had to have our people out working because you can't have a fire alarm system go down and still be in a building. I mean, or you got to be on fire watch, and that involves additional people in a building where you're trying to have no people in a building. So,
wow. Yeah. That's amazing. So, in your mind, EO mission critical, find some sort of organization, whether it's YPO, EO, Vistage, but have a tribe. Get a tribe of people that you can relate with.
Dave, that is really well said. A lot of the people I know, when they join one of those organizations, say, I finally found my tribe. I finally feel comfortable. Yeah. A lot of the friends who don't have businesses, dear friends, love them to death, but we have a very different roller coaster we ride. The highs are, the hills are a little taller, and the valleys are a little lower, and they just are.
Sometimes you're underwater.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, when hey guys, I put payroll on my, and it is a running joke. And although I'm sure sometime in my 20s this might have happened. Hey, I put payroll on my credit card, and I'm not taking a check until such and such pays me. Like, you tell an average person that who's collecting a paycheck, and they're like, I'm sorry, what? It's like, that just sounds crazy. But yeah, a lot of entrepreneurs, it's a running joke, but that may be a reality more than not. So
I don't think I took a paycheck in 2010.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, those were some survival years, right? Yeah. At least for me anyways, going through the economic downturn, there's some tough moments in there.
I think for a lot of us, Dave, that's the problem is, if you're an entrepreneur long enough, you're going to go through a cycle that you go, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Or maybe 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah.
I like to think that, you run through one of these buzzsaws every 7-8 years. You got to retool. I like to think of it like a forest fire. You're going to have a forest fire. It's going to come through. It's going to burn out the bad and allow you to, fresh start in some areas. It's business. You get complacent. So it's good to, get some of that stuff moving.
Yeah.
When you go through those tough times, how you talked a little bit about getting centered on mission, vision, and values. How important are mission, vision, and values when you're going through tough times, when you're going through good times? What is the importance to you?
Well, I think it's critical. I think I need to be able to sleep well at night, and I need to know, that sleeping well at night is less about financial gain and more about did I do the right thing in the moment. And now the problem is this: a lot of people judge the right thing in the moment based on external viewpoints or vantage points and how it impacts them, not necessarily the totality of the decision. And so one of the challenges with running an organization is, one of the things I think we learn early on is the lifeboat exercise. Look, if the economy gets, if a significant thing happens in the economy and it impacts our industry by 40%, and we have to cut back, what does that mean and who's left in the lifeboat? And the people who are not left in the lifeboat do not judge that favorably.
Right.
Now, the market might judge that favorably. The people who are left in the lifeboat might judge that favorably, often do judge that favorably, are often relieved because they know something's got to give, right? Like, we can't just business as usual and run losses forever. And like, we got to make some changes if we're going to be profitable, and we need to be profitable if I'm going to have a job. And, like, people understand that mentally, but emotionally, they don't, especially if they're the one that's impacted. So
you seem to be very go. Like, what I get from you is you are going, moving. You've got multiple businesses. You got, Columbia Tower. You got EO. You got so many things in the fire. How do you do that?
Well,
and have life, family, whatever. How do you manage and balance those two?
Well, honest answer, for a while I didn't do that well. I thought I thought my job as a husband and a father was to give my spouse and my children everything that I always wanted and didn't have, and therefore my job was to go and work. And so it became a self-justification for sacrifice, that whatever hours are necessary to make ends meet and to be able to provide, so that, hey, I was present for the 10 days of vacation or whatever, but the reality is I wasn't present a lot the rest of the time. And, that led me to a divorce. And when I got divorced, I made a very clear decision that I wanted to be a co-parent, and I wanted to have my boys with me 50% of the time. And I completely restructured how I ran that aspect of my life. And I came to realize pretty quickly that my boys cared a lot less about what I could give them. Like, one Christmas I got us all Oculus players so that we could all play video games together, right? And the kids were like, "Dad, this is ridiculous. This is just stupid. Like, I appreciate that you did this, but this is not necessarily us being together. This is us being virtually together. Like, how about we just be together and you don't spend this money?" And so it became very apparent very quickly that my physical presence, my emotional presence was way more important than my financial contribution to their lives. Now, I say all that, I think they're both very overjoyed that, oh yeah, you don't have to worry about college, and yes, I can help out with some things, and but it was really nice to recognize that being a father is not simply being a financial provider. And so I changed everything. I started working from home 50% of the time. Every other week, I literally worked from the desk I'm at right now. And that kind of, the nice thing about that too, for what it's worth, that happened way before the pandemic. And because that happened before the pandemic, and because we started employing some overseas remote team members, we had to put all the infrastructure in place to allow that to happen and work well before the pandemic hit. And that was a blessing in a major way. So, yeah.
That laid some groundwork for you to be able to roll into that with a little bit of head of steam that others didn't have.
Yeah, all the communication pieces were already figured out. We had IP phones so that, when we needed people to start working from home, they literally picked up their phones, took them home, and plugged them in to a router, and they were up and running with their extension.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, That's
Well,
awesome. I know we're getting close to time, and I just have a couple of questions left for you. For any entrepreneur out there, what's the number one most important thing that you think that they should be doing right now in their business? What tip would you give?
oh, geez, I don't know that I'm smart enough to give that, but I mean that seriously. I don't know somebody else's business well enough to know what their number one is. And I think number one can vary widely based on like, what is your financial position? Do you have enough reserves to, have you stress test things? Do you have enough reserves to survive a major shift in your marketplace so that it gives you enough time to make the changes necessary? Are you evaluating your talent consistently enough, both to promote the right people, but also to remove the people who are not contributing the way you need them to? Are we investing in our teams effectively? Are we investing in AI in a meaningful way? One of the sayings that I really appreciate is AI is not going to take our jobs, but somebody who uses AI highly effectively will, if we don't. And so
Right.
I think that's really an essential piece of where we're at in the marketplace right now. I think making sure that you've got a good peer group that you can go and commiserate when stuff is really hard, and it will be if you're an entrepreneur long enough. It will be really hard. And being real about what you're going through. I have found that it takes the sting away the more real I am and the more honest with others I am. And the more honest I am with myself. Face reality, not what you hope will be. Constantly learning, constantly growing, stay connected to community, stay present when you're with your loved ones, put your own oxygen mask on first. I mean, like, I think it's important to guard our emotional well-being as leaders, because if we don't do that, we're not doing anything else well anyway. So, but I don't know that
That was awesome.
yeah, I don't know that any of that actually helps anybody, but because there's no one thing in there, but yeah.
It was poetic. I mean, it was poetic. There's so much of that is just so true and so spot on. If anybody's listening, can they follow you on social media? Where on social media do you hang out? Where can they follow you at?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. They can find me just Erick Slabaugh on LinkedIn. I'm Absco Solutions is on LinkedIn. FCP Insight is on LinkedIn. Our newest venture, which is with my 19-year-old son and another partner, Rachel Barkley, is Top of the Tower Studios, which is a video podcast studio at the top of the Columbia Tower Club. It's a co-revenue share model with Club Corp, so we're getting that really moving off the ground. Excited about where that's headed. There's a lot of energy with that. So yeah, some fun stuff.
That's awesome. All right, so if you're out there, follow Erick, LinkedIn, check out everything he's doing. I got one final question. You got a billboard. It's on the side of the road. It's blank. What slogan do you put on there? What word do you put on there? What phrase do you put on there? What do you put out there to share with the world?
Make it a great day, which Dave Galbinski, if you know Dave Galbinski, was a past global chair. He was out running one day and somebody said, have a good day. And he said back to them, make it a great day. And they literally stopped in their tracks and said, hey, what did you just say? And he had to turn around and, stop running for a second and explain to him. I said, make it a great day. And they're like, what? And he's like, I can't bestow a great day on you, but I hope you make it a great day. And
I love that.
It's so true. We have agency in how we go about through our day. So, and to give up that agency is foolish. Well,
that's true. You are the dictator of your day. Make it a great day. Erick, this has been an absolutely fantastic show. Thank you so much for being on with us on the entrepreneurial journey. We are back 9:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every single Tuesday. Give us a like, give us a share, drop your comments into the comment box. Thank you so much for being on the entrepreneurial journey.
Excellent. Dave, thanks for having me. You guys make it a great week. Well,
we will. Thank you.
Mike Bott from Frost Solutions, one of the owners of the company. What we do is provide a mini weather station to give you a tailored forecast to those particular locations so you know where and when and what to do in those parts of town. You know there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that people can experience tremendous value having a technology like this.
Introducing the all-new Western Enforcer V-Plow. Engineered with all the features, efficiency, and performance of full-size Western V-Plows, built specifically for your half-ton truck. For more information, visit westernplows.com.